Welcome to Morning Sips and Soul Shifts by the Life with Grief podcast and your host, Tara Accardo. This is your morning dose of warmth and wisdom where we sip on coffee or whatever your favorite beverage is, navigate life after loss, and embrace small but powerful shifts toward healing, fulfillment, and joy. Hello and welcome back to a really special mini-sode of Morning Sips and Soul Shifts. I am so honored and excited to be here with you today, and it just so happens that this Monday happened to fall on Mother's Day, so couldn't have been better timing, right? This little mini-sode is a tender one because it is for anyone who is missing their mom or grieving a mother figure or just navigating some complicated feelings this Mother's Day. But to start this off, I actually wanted to share an important note about the history of Mother's Day and how it came to be. Because one, this story deserves to be recognized. And two, this is actually some really important context to some of what I'm going to be saying to you in this episode. So you might be kind of like, Tara, why are you giving me a history lesson here? That is not why I come to this podcast. Trust me, my friend. First of all, again, this is a story that deserves to be honored. This is also a story that I wasn't super familiar with, if I'm being really honest. And again, this is specifically around Mother's Day in the United States. This does not take into account any other countries or history of other cultural recognition of mothers. But I think this is really, honestly, a very beautiful story. And it gives you just a little more meat to kind of wrap your head around today in terms of what Mother's Day really looks like and really means and what the intentions of it actually were, because it might not be what you think. So, super quick, I'll run through this as brief as I can. The origins of Mother's Day, as celebrated in the United States specifically, date back to the 19th century. So the official Mother's Day arose in the 1900s as a result of the efforts of Anna Jarvis, who was the daughter of Anne Reeves Jarvis, who, fun fact, helped start the quote Mother's Day work clubs, get this, to teach local women how to properly care for their children. I thought that was kind of funny. But these clubs later became a really unifying force in a region of the country that was still very much divided over the Civil War. So, following her mother's death in 1905, Anna Jarvis conceived this idea of Mother's Day as a way of honoring the sacrifices that her mother and so many mothers out there make for their children. And after gaining financial backing from a Philadelphia department store owner, of all things, named John Wanamaker, in May of 1908, she organized the first official Mother's Day celebration at a Methodist church in Grafton, West Virginia. That same day, also saw thousands of people attend a Mother's Day event at one of Wanamaker's retail stores in Philadelphia. So, following the success of her first Mother's Day, Jarvis, who actually remained unmarried and childless her whole life, resolved to see her holiday, this holiday she created pretty much in honor of her own mother, added to the national calendar. Arguing that American holidays were biased toward male achievements, she started a massive letter writing campaign to newspapers and prominent politicians, urging the adoption of a special day honoring motherhood. By 1912, many states, towns, and churches had adopted Mother's Day as an annual holiday, and Jarvis had established the Mother's Day International Association to help promote her cause. Her persistence paid off in 1914 when President Woodrow Wilson signed a measure that officially established the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day. Here's the thing, though. This is the crux of the story and the why behind why I am even bringing this up. Anna Jarvis originally came up with Mother's Day as a day of personal celebration between mothers and families. Her version of the day involved wearing a white carnation as sort of a badge and visiting one's own mother or attending church services. But once Mother's Day became a national holiday, it wasn't long before florists, card companies, and other merchants capitalized on its popularity. So it's kind of crazy and a little ironic because while she had initially worked with the floral industry to help raise awareness around Mother's Day, by 1920, she had become completely disgusted with how the holiday had been commercialized. She, in fact, outwardly denounced the transformation of it and urged people to stop buying Mother's Day flowers, cards, and candies and all the things. Seriously, can you believe that? The founder of Mother's Day, right? This whole hullabaloo that we make around Mother's Day, she wanted none of this. She eventually resorted to an open campaign against Mother's Day profiteers, speaking out against confectioners, so the people making all the candy and things that you're giving your mom every year, florists, and even charities. She also launched countless lawsuits against groups that had used the name Mother's Day, eventually spending most of her personal wealth in legal fees, which I just find to be incredibly sad and so unfair. So by the time that she died in 1948, she had disowned the holiday altogether and even actively lobbied the government to see it removed from the American calendar. So clearly that didn't happen. If anything, I feel like it's only blown up more and it's only gotten more commercialized. I wanted to call this out for a few reasons, but first and foremost, I wanted to call this out because Mother's Day was essentially founded by a grieving daughter herself. And just to kind of share with you how misconstrued Mother's Day has gotten over the years, which is going to lend itself to a little bit later in our conversation. But to really kick this off today, after a little history lesson, I want to say this to you first. If today feels heavy, if it feels hollow, or like your heart is just bruised and hurting, you are not alone. And this space today, this mini-sode today is for you. Because my friend, I am missing my mom today too. I miss her every single day. So let's quickly take a deep breath together just for a second here. And let's just acknowledge that Mother's Day is everywhere. It's in commercials. It's in brunch reservations. And ironically, I am in fact going to a Mother's Day brunch this year. It's in floral displays and it's in social media tributes, which you better believe I'm going to post a tribute about my mom today. How could I not, right? But it can feel like the whole world is celebrating something that you've lost. And when you're grieving your mom or a mother figure, this day can be sharp. It is lonely. It is unbearable sometimes. It's kind of like the holiday season. Sometimes you just want to get through it as unscathed as possible. You might be watching others with their mothers, laughing, hugging, enjoying a meal. And even if you're happy for them, a part of you might be deeply aching and longing or just kind of numb to the whole thing, to be honest. And there are so many forms of mother loss that we can acknowledge here. And this is not the full list, okay? But, maybe your mom died recently and this is your first Mother's Day without her. Maybe it's been years, but the grief, it just still stings. Maybe your relationship was or is complicated with your mom, full of love, but maybe also a lot of pain. Maybe you never had the kind of mother that you needed and you're grieving the idea of her. Maybe it's a mother figure that you've lost, but it's not your biological mother. And that can lead to a lot of disenfranchised grief because that might not be seen or recognized by people. They might not understand, for example, how much your grandmother actually raised you or how pivotal of a role that your aunt played in your life, for example. And she was like basically a mom to you. That goes unnoticed. So grief, it doesn't need to be tidy and like by the book, so to speak, whether your mother was your anchor or even the cause of your heartache, it's okay to feel whatever comes up today. Because grieving a mom brings a specific kind of loneliness. It can make you feel untethered, like the one person who always saw all of you is no longer here. Or maybe she never did, and that absence still shapes you to this day. Grieving your mom can make the world feel less safe, even if you are a fully grown adult. That 100% was the case for me. And almost immediately after my mom died, I booked an appointment with a medium that I still go to this day because I literally could not stand or fathom the thought of never speaking to her again. It was way too painful to consider. And I don't know how to explain it, but it was like I needed that connection immediately to her. And even immediately wasn't fast enough. Nothing has ever felt the same since the moment she died. Since the moment that I sat with her at her bedside, just her and I held her hand as she left the physical world. So I want to encourage you to know that whatever you're feeling, it's normal, it's not a weakness. That is a deep bonding love that you have from the person that you are so connected with that's still looking for a home. It just might not know where to go right now. It might not ever really know where to go because home never really feels the same once we lose our mom. So, how do we move through this? How do we move through a day like this, like Mother's Day? First and foremost, and this is kind of bringing us back to the reason I brought up the story of the origins of Mother's Day. I want to say something here that's going to be pretty blunt, and I apologize for that. And maybe you won't even agree with me, and that's okay. You don't need to. This is just me speaking as a grieving daughter myself and someone who is now 5 years out from losing my mom. Mother's Day, for all intents and purposes, is just like any other day. I want you to think about that for a second. But also, let me explain this. You don't need a Mother's Day to come around to miss and honor your mom. If you're grieving your mom, you know better than anyone that any day, any moment is a time to miss your mom. You don't need some holiday on the calendar to tell you what to do or how to feel or when to miss your mom more than usual, right? Mother's Day has gotten so blown out of proportion in a way. At least that's how I personally feel about it. And apparently, the actual founder of Mother's Day felt the same way. So, for whatever that's worth, it has become even bigger and more commercialized. It has been thrown in our faces, and the expectation around it has made us feel like we have to celebrate or acknowledge it. And if we don't, we are just awful people who don't care about our moms or something. Okay, that might be a little exaggerated. I'm on my soapbox now. But truly, just ponder that for a second. And yes, because of the heightened awareness around today, your mom's absence might feel extra intense, sad, hard to bear, difficult to get through. But can't we feel all of those things on any given day without our mom being here? And quite frankly, as a mom now myself, I would also appreciate more than just one full day to acknowledge everything we do. I'm just going to call a spade because it's those little moments that we take each day or throughout the week to acknowledge her, thank her, and love on her that really matter. Any fellow moms, especially out there, you know what I'm saying here. It's a lot. We've got a lot on our plate all the time. So, yes, it's nice to have like an extra day or a special day that's, quote, all about us and everything, but it's not the end all be all. So, to start wrapping this up, let's quickly talk about 5 very gentle, grounding ways to care for yourself throughout this day and beyond if it is giving you a tough time. And that is so valid. If so, you might be like, okay, Tara, I hear you. Mother's Day may or may not matter, whatever. Guess what? I'm still struggling. My friend, that is okay. I see you and I validate that today. So let's go through these here real quick. Number 1, make space to feel without forcing anything. You don't need to put on a happy face today. You are allowed to opt out of brunch with friends or family. Yes, even if you feel like you're being forced by other people, use this opportunity to stand up for yourself and your grief if you need to. Or if you go, make an appearance, do the best you can, but make sure you have that rest and that downtime to process and feel your feels and give yourself that sacred time that you need outside of that. You are also allowed to mute or opt out of a group text that you might be on or the social media scrolling that we might end up doing today. Seriously, mute it. Mute it for the day if you need to. I know we're all like so addicted. It's really important to do this every once in a while. And I want to acknowledge too, especially if it has been a while since you lost your mom or mother figure, people might unfortunately neglect to remember, or they just might not acknowledge your pain. It is a sad reality that so many of us go through. But instead, I want you to ask yourself, because you are your biggest supporter, what do I need right now? Then I want you to honor that need. If it helps, journal it out. So here are just a couple super quick prompts that you can use today if it's helpful. Number one, what do I miss most about her today? Just write down whatever comes to you and just feel her energy, feel her around you as you are putting pen to paper, writing that down today. Another great prompt is, what is a memory, quality of hers, or lesson that she has taught you that you want to carry forward? I think I've talked about this on the podcast before as well, but there are so many traits and characteristics and qualities of my mom and my dad too that I want to carry with me, that I want to embody while also honoring myself as an individual. And it's just this beautiful amalgamation of myself and my parents. And it's just me trying to be the best version of myself that I can be because I want that for myself. And I know they would want that for me too. And remember, grief gets louder when we silence it. So giving it air, so to speak, quietly, creatively through tears, however this looks, it is all part of the healing journey. Number two, create a little personal ritual. Rituals are one of the ways that we honor the things that are sacred in our life, right? So you might light a candle, cook her favorite meal or dessert. My mom, it would definitely be dessert. Play a song that she loved. For my mom, it is Dream On by Aerosmith. That's like one of my big ones, although I have a few. Go on a walk that you always went on with her. Look at old photos or videos if you have them. But I also want you to know, and this is really, really important, so please hear me when I say this. If the idea of doing any of that today feels too painful, that's okay. Don't do any of it. Treat this like any other day. Seriously. And don't feel guilty for not honoring her in some way today. Because remember, I'm getting a little spiritual here for a second, but bear with me. Time and calendars and holidays and everything that we know here in this like very physical, ego-driven world ceases to exist once we leave the physical body. Maybe with the exception of something like Dia de los Muertos or something like that in certain cultures. Okay, I want to acknowledge that, but I digress. Point is, I would venture to say that your mom, she's not going to be upset with you that you didn't do something to recognize her today. If you're in pain, I bet you anything. I never want to speak for people's loved ones, but I would imagine that your mom or mother figure wouldn't want you to add undue stress to your plate or to your soul, your psyche, trying to do something to honor her. Find another way to acknowledge her tomorrow or another day when you feel ready. Heck, create your own Mother's Day. There's no rules here. You don't have to acknowledge Mother's Day per the calendar that we all go by. So why do it if it is causing you pain, right? Take the pressure off. Do what feels good. Number three is connecting with someone who gets it. So call or text someone who understands this kind of grief that you're going through, or who has perhaps lost their mom too. If that person isn't available or you just don't have one around you, perhaps look to grief support groups or even literally groups or people or whoever on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or wherever you go for that social connection. Because I guarantee there's at least one person who can see and validate you today. And if all else fails, guess what? I am here to be that person for you today and every day. Because grief shared is grief softened. So when someone else can simply say to you, me too, I get it. I see you and I get it. And me too. I'm experiencing something really similar, or I'm experiencing the same feelings, your grief suddenly becomes less lonely and more human. And I know from experience, I can't tell you the level of peace, even just for a moment, that can wash over us when we have that human connection, even if it's a stranger, right? So, again, connecting with someone who understands it. And please know my DMs are open, my inbox is always open to you. I love connecting with you guys. That's why I'm here. So, all right, number 4, share her story and say her name. Speak her name aloud today. Tell a story about her. Maybe do actually go on social media and post a tribute if that feels good, right? Go for it. Whisper a little something or a prayer to her spirit, which I know is with you. So maybe in the privacy of your own home or your car, whenever you can get just like a second, just say something to yourself or aloud to her, close your eyes, and really feel her energy around you. Share a memory with someone who knew her or even someone who didn't, because she still exists. Like I said, she is the energy around you. And saying her name, it can help us feel like they are closer to us. But even if you don't say her name aloud and you don't put a tribute on social media, it's okay. Know that your bond never breaks with that space or with that time. In fact, in many ways, I am of the belief that it only continues to strengthen because you almost have to work harder for it, because they're not here in person. We have to tap into new ways to keep them alive, to keep them feeling close. So give that some thought. And number 5, I love this one so much. Give yourself what you needed from her. This one is pretty big and pretty powerful. Mothering yourself doesn't erase the loss, it honors it. I have done this in so many ways since my mom died. I won't even go into detail on this right now for the sake of time. I've even had dreams around this sort of thing. But I want you to ask yourself, what did I need from her? What did I get from her that I loved and cherished? And can I give that to myself in some small way today? Maybe it's softness, encouragement, rest, reassurance, a little bit of grace, a warm meal, a delicious dessert, a nap, a gentle just touch to your own heart. You still matter and you are still worthy of care. So, whether it's Mother's Day or any other day of the year, I want you to remember that. And if you are grieving your mom today, I want you to know that grief is so sacred. And your experience with the loss of your mother figure, whoever she might be to you, it matters. But you carry her, not just in memory, but in how you love, how you heal, and how you keep going. And that is really freaking powerful. And I want you to know that you are doing better than you think you are. I have no doubt about that. My friend, thank you so much for being here with me today on a day that can feel like entirely too much. I know. I hope this space has helped you feel just a little less alone. And please remember, if you need more support, I offer grief coaching, soul purpose coaching, and other little mini courses and digital tools that might be helpful for you. I also have my Losses Become Gains journal if you want a super impactful little daily practice that takes just minutes to do each day. It comes in some really fun colors and patterns. I love them all. Those are available on Amazon. Be sure you are following along at Losses Become Gains and at Life with Grief podcast, or reach out through my website. I'd love to connect with you, DM me, whatever. Let's chat. Let's get to know each other. All of the things that I just mentioned, that is all linked in the show notes. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. You are certainly not alone today. And until next time, be so, so gentle with yourself. Thank you so much for tuning into Morning Sips and Soul Shifts by the Life with Grief podcast and your host, Tara Accardo. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and as always, I encourage you to take what feels good and most aligned for you and leave the rest. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. And if you're loving what you're hearing here, consider sharing it with a friend or leaving a friendly review. It's always so appreciated. I'll see you in our next coffee date together for more high vibe and soul shifting goodness.